Mr. Gold, given the Appalachian Regional Commission's efforts to address the opioid epidemic in Appalachia, if the President's fiscal year 2018 budget recommendation to eliminate the ARC were affirmed by Congress, what other federal agency would be able to meet the needs of Appalachia? So in other words, I'm asking, what impact would if the Appalachian Regional Commission ceased to exist as is called for under President Trump's 2018 budget, what would be the effect on Appalachia and on the drug epidemic that ravishes America and Appalachia?
You know, ARC over the last number of years has been very focused on creating opportunities, changing the level of education, working very deliberately for the region to be on parity with the rest of the nation in terms of socioeconomic.
Well, let me ask the question this way. I really want to get a yes or no, a quick answer. Will the defunding and the removal of the Appalachian Regional Commission from the federal budget, that would hurt Appalachia, wouldn't it? Yes or no?
Mr. Johnson, I have a great deal of respect for you, and I appreciate your work.
And I really just want to get I'm not trying to be political, I'm just making a point. I think it's a fair point, because what we do up here, the federal policies that we enact up here, have an impact back at home, back on the street. People pay taxes. People deserve a fair deal. When they pay in, they should get a return on it. So when we start talking about giving tax cuts to wealthy individuals, multinational corporations and the like, it has an impact on people on the street who are paying taxes. And when we have a proposal to eliminate the Appalachian Regional Commission because we're spending too much money and the federal government has to cut its deficit and debt, so we sacrifice the Appalachian Regional Commission because we want to give tax cuts to the wealthy. I mean, that's a fair point, I think, for me to make and for me to ask you, and I'm just asking you what the impact of that policy would be on the Appalachian region. And this is what I was talking about in terms of us being honest and not playing politics. And let's really look at the impact of our policies on how it affects people in Appalachia. That's the only thing I'm trying to do. And I know that you don't want to answer the question. It's hard. The truth hurts. And that's the bottom line.
Right. So I would say this. If you look at, every year we release a document that talks about what we did. And the document talks about the number of folks we educate, the number of jobs we help folks create, and if ARC isn't here, we're not going to issue that report any longer. But in all fairness, Mr. Johnson, the support that was vocalized in March of this year by a bipartisan group of members about ARC was really very impressive. And what we did was we got to work on doing our jobs, of taking the funds that the Congress provided us and work diligently every day to focus in on our work and what Congress told us to do.
Well, if those funds went away, it would hurt the people of Appalachia, who I really feel for, suffering and pain and no hope about the future. And I believe that there's something that the federal government can do, should do, and must do in order to help the people of Appalachia and the people throughout this country who are suffering and looking for a better deal from their government. And with that, I will yield back.
Chair recognizes Mr. Smugger for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.